Jesus Christ, Nintendo, at the risk of looking like I've been paid off to say nice things about you, believe me, that isn't the case. You've just been going out of your way to make up for your post-Wii fuck-ups. The Switch has some of the best games on the market at time of writing. Several of the ports people missed out on by skipping on the Wii U are either here or coming over very soon, and you have not been tardy at all at getting new titles either released or at the very least announced and ready to gather steam for the hype train. Now just let that online service not be a steaming pile of shit and you're pretty much all good, Big N. And releasing a new Kirby game this early in the Switch's life is also, I gotta say, another very good move. I can't say it's a surprising one though. While the Kirby series is beloved by its fans, like, seriously, I'm a fan. I love this series. How can you not love him? You know I have a weakness for cute shit. How do you not love this cute, squishy, little puffy ball of fluffy? Nintendo themselves, though, they're a bit more laissez-faire with the little guy. Oh, they love him, no doubt, but they don't necessarily have the keenest eye on him, whereas every Mario and Zelda game is fussed over with the finest tooth combs, going over every detail and doing years upon years of polish and presentation upkeep. Kirby kind of feels like the stepchild of the Nintendo family, who neither parent really minds too much what they do, you know, as long as he keeps his grades up and keeps making mommy and daddy money. They're content to just, well, let him go off and do whatever and be his quirky, goofy little self. Unlike his mostly absent older brother F-Zero or his delinquent younger brother Star Fox, Kirby has always felt like kind of a holding pattern property for Nintendo, something to slide into a release schedule between Zeldas and Smashes. As a result, HAL Labs, or whoever HAL is pawning the license over to, have always had way more free reign to try new things and think way outside the box with their Kirby titles. That's why we get stuff like pinball games and top-down racers and puzzlers and games with accelerometers built into the cartridges. Yeah, that happened. Or games where you're made of yarn and you furnish your apartment with your equally adorable gay boyfriend. Fuck you, I ship it. Kirby is a franchise that has taken a lot of big risks over the years, particularly on consoles. That's why Kirby Star Allies is a little bit of an odd entry in the series, if only because of how, well, safe it all feels. No, really, this is just like a fairly standard feeling Kirby game. The most standard Kirby-ass Kirby game I think we've gotten in at least a little while. This is a Kirby game that doesn't rely too much on special gimmicks or crazy settings or anything like that. It's Kirby. Remember this Kirby? Remember this Kirby? It's this Kirby. Hope you're okay with that. I know that sounds like I might be knocking the game for it. Maybe I kind of am. Well, because one of my favorite things about the Kirby series is that maybe apart from like really standout characters like Wario, it's one of Nintendo's few franchises where they are not afraid to go absolutely off the wall and full-blown bonkers with experimentation. Personally, some of my favorite Kirby games are the weirder stuff like Superstar or Dream Course or Epic Yarn, where they just give two swollen pink middle fingers to convention and just make a cool thing. That is cool, because we can make a cool thing. Let's just make a cool thing. Hey, we got this little pink ball, let's do a cool thing with it. But even if this isn't the most innovative Kirby title out there, I gotta give it credit. For a Kirby-ass Kirby game, it's a damn good Kirby-ass Kirby game. First thing I'll praise is the presentation. For starters, this has to be the most gorgeous Kirby game they've made to date. The graphics are absolutely top-notch, and the presentation overall is just aces. Kirby games usually have a pretty nifty look to them, but the beef and horsepower behind the Switch itself really helps make the game stick out. They really put the new hardware to good use. And that's the thing too, the Switch is still far from the beefiest platform out there by a long shot, but Nintendo's first-party library has done a so far outstanding job of using what power they have to its absolute fullest. And And while the gameplay and story, like I mentioned earlier, are a bit of your standard Kirby platformer affair, it's not completely without innovation. There is one major gimmick that does mix things up. It's right there in the title, your allies. In this game, not only can Kirby absorb powers from his enemies, but through the sheer magic power of friendship. You know, I think I take it back. I ship this instead. Up to 3 allies can join you at any time during the game, and often you'll need a handful of the abilities of your slaves. Pals! I mean pals, allies, friends. We're all good friends here. This is totally above the board, okay? It's not mind control-y or Orwellian or weird at all. It's not. It's not! You'll need to work in tandem with your buddies to get past some of the game's optional challenges, and in some circumstances, you and a friend can combine your powers together to form new and unique abilities. It isn't quite to the same level as, say, Kirby 64 necessarily. It's mostly relegated to beefing up character weapons and abilities with added elemental effects. Stuff like fire, ice, water, electricity, and wind. And most of the character abilities can combine to perform some really cool new moves that can help out in certain situations. You can, say, use an icy sword to cut down a burning chain, or use a windy boomerang to power through a wind tunnel. Combine ice and rock to form a ball of Canadian death! Or combine electricity with ESP to reenact that one scene from Scanners. Up to 4 players can play in this mode, along with every single mode in the game, and let me tell you, it can be a fun, crazy clusterfuck playing like this. Seriously, it's bananas running through the environment with friends, working in tandem to get secret items and collectibles, and teaming up to make every boss in the game piss easy. Holy shit, like, okay, Kirby bosses usually tend to lean on the easy side anyway, but with 4 people cracking away at the same time? It's not even fair. I really don't think the game's difficulty curve was adjusted to have 4 players in mind. This game gets easy, like crazy easy. Even though the Kirby games have a tendency to be easy, this game is easy even on the most lax Kirby standards. This is probably the easiest game you'll play all damn year. For seasoned gamers or veteran Kirby enthusiasts, this game can feel like a cakewalk even by the literal cakewalking standards of this series. And while the 4-player modes are really well executed in most places, I mean really they are, playing this game in couch co-op is where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck on this title. It's really where it shines. The multiplayer here is fantastic. Though that having been said, there are moments where having a full roster isn't the most smoothly implemented. I already mentioned the easiest piss boss battles. Well, there are also these sort of neat little team-up abilities, like forming a giant rolling boulder, a friendship choo-choo train of murder, and a bridge! Just a bridge. Okie doke. Well, you team up in this big cutscene with all this fanfare, but when you do these, you basically become one entity, and as such, only one player can control the action. Fine for single player, but in multiplayer, it means your friends are basically just twiddling their thumbs while you solve the puzzle, slash blast through the enemies, etc, etc. And while, yes, it is fun playing this game with 4 players, I did mention that it was an absolute clusterfuck, right? With 4 players and a regular-sized boss character on the screen, it's really easy to lose track of where the hell you are, which way you're facing, where the boss is, where you need to be attacking. Oh my god, this is almost as bad as 8-Man Smash. And you know, I'll say that as far as Kirby platformers go, this is easily one of the best ways the series has implemented simultaneous multiplayer. I mean, you know, previous titles' attempts to do the multiplayer thing have always felt kinda shoehorned and tacked on. With this game, it feels much more like the multiplayer was the crucial focus. This was what they really wanted to emphasize. The game feels built around the multiplayer to a greater and more well-executed effect than pretty much any other title previously. It still isn't perfect yet, but the rough edges aren't deal breakers by any means. You can get used to them, and even then, if you ain't into that, the game does offer a decent amount of variety. Kirby games are known for their additional mini-games, and this one has two in particular, Chop Champs and Star Slam Heroes. They're okay. Star Slam Heroes is a kinda less goofy take on Megaton Punch, and Chop Champs plays like a better late series Mario Party game, even if the timing to it is a little wonky at first. They're nifty distractions, even if they aren't Samurai Kirby levels of astounding. And there are additional modes that unlock after your first story playthrough. The ultimate choice is kinda your standard Kirby boss rush mode, and the reason you've been seeing all those hot sauce memes lately. And guest star, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, star allies, go! Is a terrible name for a game mode, but it's a sort of remixed version of the main game where you play as a team of all buddies with no Kirby in sight. It functions as kind of a speedrunning challenge. I mean, these don't necessarily reinvent the wheel by any means, especially for this series, but they're always nice things to have in any Kirby game, and they've adapted the 4-player multiplayer to all of them very, very well. But I mean, look at this. Do you kind of see what I mean now when I say this is a basic-ass Kirby game? This is just like a lot of the other Kirby platformers we've gotten in the past. It's Kirby classic, and it's a bit of a lightweight feeling Kirby experience at that, if I'm being totally honest. The gameplay, the additional modes, the power-ups, the collectibles you can obtain, even stuff like the story and setting just feel a bit run-of-the-mill. Like I said up top, this is a Kirby-ass Kirby game. But there isn't a damn thing wrong with that. It's a good-ass Kirby-ass Kirby game. I have got to think of better adjectives. Between the story mode and fiddling around with all the extra stuff the game had to offer, I got a solid 9 to 10 hours out of it, and I'm a fan of the classic Kirby formula, so yeah, I'd say I got my money's worth. If all you're looking for is a good bit of relaxing platformer fun, or if you're looking for a nice game to occasionally break out for co-op, yeah, I can totally recommend it. If you're looking for something with a bit more substance to it, or you aren't the biggest Kirby fan in the world, I say at least wait for a price drop. It's a good Kirby experience. There just kinda isn't a ton of variety here to keep coming back for more after you've blazed through everything. It's not Sonic Forces level of shallow, thank God. But again, Kirby is a franchise that has done a lot of neat experimentation over the years, and this isn't one of their more experimental titles, but hey, for what it is, it's still really solid. Kirby Star Allies gets 3.5 yiffable daddies out of 5.